Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning. Got an absolutely amazing broadcast lineup for you this morning, and I'm very excited. I am very excited to see how this thing is going to go because I'm leaning on the crew today. They're gonna educate me on some things today because I need some education. I need some education on this, and I'm leaning on my crew to help me out. How about that? So let me go first. I gotta say, ladies always first. So Sister Sadaria, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning? Sadaria, you there? She must have some problems with her sound. She may not be able to hear me this morning. But Captain Leonard, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem and the Morning Glow family.
Hey man, we got a topic we're gonna talk about this morning that and truth of the matter, Leonard, I'm gonna lean a lot on you this morning on this topic right here. I'm gonna lean a lot on you this morning because I know you know a lot about it. But even before we get into the topic and the subject matter at hand, I want to know what's going on um in the political world. We usually start there, and this officer, he's been reinstated. They say he didn't have his due process. Um, say they kind of jumped the gun, so they gave him his job back. What do you think about that, Leonard?
Well, I'm going to tell you one, I believe it has set up the mayor to almost limit herself to one term.
Wow.
If you cannot control your police force, you worthless as a mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not sure. Well, first thing we have to also understand that if this is proof that nothing has been done
Mm-hmm.
to address these issues as it relates to police misconduct,
Mm-hmm.
qualified immunity and due process do not go together.
Yeah.
You got your due process up front. It's called qualified immunity.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing that the city of Atlanta did not comply with this, that, or did not give him due process or what have you is a farce.
Mm-hmm.
The Civil Service Board in Atlanta should be looked at very closely, and their procedures and things of that nature may need to be addressed as it relates to law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are other civil service employees within the federal government, unlike law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Most civil employees are not law enforcement.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this ain't somebody that just work in an office and do paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't somebody in a public administration role or something of that nature. This is law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
People sitting on the desk who are civil service employees don't have qualified immunity.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
However, police officers do. Even moving forward, this particular officer is still under investigation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even if you did not give him due process or what you consider due process, which I think should be a term, pretty relative to civil and criminal law issues, where you're actually in front of an actual court of law,
Mm-hmm.
should be used when you're talking about due process, because that relates to when you say due process, you evoke rights.
Mm-hmm.
Right to due process is part of our Bill of Rights. However, we don't have qualified immunity. The police do.
Yeah.
So that's an issue that has to be looked at. That's work that has to be done administratively. And the laws must be changed as it
Mm-hmm.
relates to this issue. That's the only way you're going to even whittle away at police misconduct and punishing them for what they have done.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody else would have murdered someone last night, surely you would not expect them to be able to come to work tomorrow morning.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Not happening.
those are issues. However, I'm very disappointed with the city of Atlanta in this issue. You
Mm-hmm.
want people to vote for you, but Black Power look just like white folks doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You're no better than them. So they better get their act together in these cities and municipalities as it relates to this issue of police misconduct and the problems that we have with law enforcement in this country.
Mm-hmm. So Leonard, you said something in the course of what you were saying, and you said that our mayor, Ms. Bottoms, has pretty much shot herself in the foot.
Yes, the mayor of the city of Atlanta.
Wow.
You returned a murderer back to work.
Now, was that her decision or her decision making that allowed it to happen? Or
I don't care if it was her decision or not. She is the mayor of Atlanta.
She could have stopped it.
The chief of police sits on her cabinet. She is responsible. Or she's going to have to be a lot more careful about what she says if she does not plan on following up on her threats.
Yeah.
So you can't be a strong mayor and back down.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't go hand in hand.
So they had better find another way to get rid of this office.
Well, he still have to go through the court hearing. He's
or
still
no
not.
one will trust your leadership.
Yeah.
You can fire anybody you want to.
And
ain't that what they always telling you? It's a right to work state.
Yep. Exactly.
So they just proved that all that stuff that they used to talk about, this, that, and the other, is false. So no one needs to go on and insist that that is the way things go. It's a right to work state. They can fire you for whatever they want. What about murder? Can't be that much of a right to work state, can it? There's a lot of stuff in between.
There's a lot of fluff there.
I really have to listen to the city of Mayor Bottoms.
What can she say right now, though?
I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. It's just like I'm very disappointed with our vice president.
Wow.
You can't play these games with people and you barely won. And you barely made it. And we're barely trying to change things.
Didn't she somewhat in some kind of way agree with Scott?
If you just sit around and listen to people talk, you would say that, yes. However, the information that she brought up and all the things that she said right after that were a complete contradiction to what she said the first time.
So she sent mixed messages, basically.
Yes, very mixed. If you try to do the right thing instead of trying to appease white folks, you fare better.
Yeah. How did that help or hurt her?
It hurt her terribly. It hurt her. It has every young black person right now and older, every black person looking at her like, why did you just say that? Why did you say it?
Well, we all have, let's be truthful. We all have said something. As soon as it came out of our mouth, we said, oh, man, I should have said that.
All of us ain't the vice president.
True.
When it comes to race, if you're not prepared, keep your mouth shut. You have a right to do that. She could have chopped off the first sentence, and everything she said after that sentence was completely valid. It states to what we need to work on in this country as it relates to race and all the cultural and historical things associated with racism in the United States.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think after she put that first sentence out there, the rest of it was trying to clean it up?
Yes, she's playing both. Is playing both sides. Or does she actually have this opinion? I know why Tim Scott is doing it. He's a house Negro. We know why he's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not sure why Harris chose to do it. Because everything she said after that.
Isn't she supposed to be? Isn't she briefed before she go out there and
I don't know. I don't know. They should be, but I'm not sure. Or they just people just say, did it look like Trump actually cared what he was briefed about?
Never.
when he opened his mouth?
Never.
That ain't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them who lean on briefings do that. Some of them who believe that they, have a better spin on it, they can say what they want. They're just briefed on the issue
Mm-hmm.
and what they should say, probably. But if they're the type of person that doesn't need that type of guidance, just give me the information. I'll go out here and do what I need to do. That's
Mm-hmm.
different. But Harris needs to get herself together when it comes to this issue, so no one has to continue to question about it.
Did she in doing that, Leonard, do you think she gave the other side some fuel?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know why she did it. I
Yeah.
don't even know if she truly believes it,
Mm-hmm.
or did she just say it for some reason to appeal to the other side?
Yeah.
I'm not
Now let me
sure.
what is this whole situation going on with since and I can't get the name right, Leonard. You know what I'm talking about though.
Chauvin.
Trump has Trump has endorsed somebody to take over a seat in the Senate. I think that's what it is, something like that. And he endorsed this young lady, and the one that's about to lose her seat is not really fighting against it because it is being said that once she's out of that position, she can speak freely instead of things that she wants to say. What's going on with that, man? How does Trump still have his hand over this Republican Party?
I'm really not sure about that part,
Mm-hmm.
because anything about Trump I usually don't listen to.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
could care less. All I want to hear is he died. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And what would that do to a lot of them Trumpites? Yeah, that
I,
other
I
people
don't.
go
I don't really care. They can jump in the grave with him if they would like. I don't care.
bury them too.
Bury them too. I really don't care. I don't care for my enemies. I don't told you that.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly,
So if
exactly.
you want to be on that side, be on that side. I don't
Hmm.
care.
Okay. Now, there's a lot. What else is going on in the political world? Before we jump into our topic, what else is
I,
going
I,
on?
I think what is very interesting is this whole issue as it relates to critical race theory
Mm-hmm.
and the teaching of racism and its
Mm-hmm.
history. And they're trying to remove, if you're talking about critical race theory this broadly, you're talking about trying to remove every notion of racism.
Mm-hmm.
Teach children in schools that it didn't happen.
That
Don't
racism.
mention it at all,
Mm,
or don't speak as, or always omit that racism was an issue.
mm,
And you see how that blends into what folks like Tim Scott and VP Harris said.
mm-hmm.
Critical race theory is a reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's real. Everything on the other side is ridiculous. You cannot pretend as if racism does not exist in the United States. That
Exactly.
makes you a fool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And my thing is, how do you go about erasing everything that's happened in the past?
Well, they've tried to do that before.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is a there are some of us where there's a resurgence of truth. So now truth is becoming a very strong energy in America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's becoming necessary. And the liars are going to try to protect their lies.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why they don't want critical race theory taught. Say, for instance, we have to look at the influence of non-governmental organizations on politics, specifically as it relates to Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and different stance that it takes. It should not be more powerful than the government of the United States.
And do you think it is?
It is becoming that way,
Yeah.
especially if, and I only say that because Facebook is a civil man's protest.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to say that they allow some amounts of free speech, but it is always under their subjectivity.
Mm-hmm.
However, when they come out and say they're going to ban the president of the United States, That's a little forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, excuse me, former president of the United States,
Yeah. Yeah.
Trump.
Mm-hmm.
We got to think about, like, say, for instance, the rules that govern the unethical behavior of that previous administration and how they're handling all those actors in the government that were part of the insurrection, or they sympathetic for those who were part of the insurrection.
Mm-hmm.
Attorney General Barr, for instance, former Attorney General Barr,
Mm-hmm.
highest legal authority other than the Supreme Court,
Mm-hmm.
completely, without hesitation, lied under
Yes.
oath and
Mm-hmm.
everything else. This man should not be able to practice law anymore. They would have disbarred any other lawyer for this by now, for his
Mm-hmm.
conduct in office. So we have to look at that. Even if it's not racism, there's still the issue of justice as it relates to people in certain positions with certain connections and certain types of money. If you're not going to punish the AG, how can you justify punishing everyone else?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And what I was talking about earlier, Shani, a young lady named is Shani.
Hmm.
Yeah, that she's actually about to be ousted. She's about to be ousted. And say Trump had a lot to do with her ousting.
Who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
That's that.
if you got to play this game to win.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to win, you have to appeal to voters.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Yeah.
have to worry if you appeal to your constituents.
Exactly.
What Trump got one vote, if he vote,
Mm-hmm.
and he probably can't even vote where she at.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make a difference.
Thank you. I don't care how much money he got. One vote compared to
Mm-hmm.
1,000. Guess who win? The 1,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Broke, ugly, man, woman, gay, straight, don't matter.
Vote.
Vote. It beats
Mm-hmm.
money every time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal. There's so much going on, man, and I'm still stuck on, and I know how you feel about this whole situation, about the video being released and things of that nature. Because some came out yesterday what they was talking about. They're very at the cusp of forcing them to release it. And my question was when I saw it, I was like, how can you do that? How can you force them to release a tape that they don't want to release? How do you force them?
Oh,
And
I
then
don't know.
and I'm talking and I'm talking to you, the socialist and the social justice person that you are. How do you do that?
I don't know. I know you can't make me do nothing I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's just really, it's really for television
Mm-hmm.
sake. There's no
Mm-hmm.
reason to release that video until the trial.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
What I mean, what other purpose is there
Mm-hmm.
for the releasing of the video? None really, except for people's entertainment.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna
Mm-hmm.
change not one thing. Because I'm pretty sure the parties that need to see that video,
Have seen it.
I'm probably most likely have seen it,
Mm-hmm.
except for probably the defense. I mean,
Okay.
excuse me, not the defense,
The
but the
process.
family, the plaintiff.
Mm-hmm.
And by law, that information needs to be shared if it's going to be used.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody should be asking why they didn't release it in its entirety to begin with.
Do you think they're in hopes? The defense is in hopes that it won't be used. And I don't know how they could be. Eh. But do you think they're in hopes that it won't be used in court?
I'm not sure. I can't even understand the strategy of it at all.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
you know, if they didn't have a video, they'd be better off.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it: how often they win without a video
Mm-hmm.
because they ain't got no proof.
Now, what was to happen if the footage were to mysteriously disappear or become erased in some kind of way? Oops.
It isn't like it hadn't happened before, but that's why
Oops.
you don't hang your hopes
Hmm.
on things like that.
Hmm. Who would that help though? Would that help the prosecutor or the defense?
It would help the defense if he's even prosecuted.
Hmm. Mm, that's good.
I
Okay.
made a statement earlier. Qualified immunity and due process don't go together.
Hmm.
So you're always brought to court, always,
Hmm.
for an offense. Well, there's another level of government when it comes to law enforcement that makes decisions a little differently in a grand jury on
Hmm.
whether or not there's enough merit to bring a case to trial against an officer. It's handled very differently.
Hmm. I am really wondering and questioning where we're going as a society right now. Are we going in a full? Are we moving forward? Are we stagnated, or are we moving backwards in the way that we're treating each other and the way that law enforcement and different entities are treating us? What do you say to that, Leonard? Are we moving forward, backwards, or are we just stagnating?
Well, we're going forward regardless.
Mm-hmm.
However, police brutality and everything is going forward as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, until the laws change that govern how these people do their jobs, don't expect much.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm.
policies and procedures and laws have to change. Those who have not changed them have no intention on doing the right thing. You can talk all you want to. Y'all can watch all them videos you want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you wind up just talking about stuff and being irritated as opposed to getting things changed and done. Because you can't sit around worried about whether somebody's gonna release another few seconds of a video.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to get to work on what's important. And it's like I said before, voting.
Mm-hmm.
Because them people not gonna change the rules unless you make them do it by either putting new people in is the best answer because the people there obviously are not interested.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to change how the police department conducts business?
Now, Leonard, talk to me and educate me on what you're in charge. You're the decision maker. What needs to happen?
Well, first of all, you have to make sure that everyone understands their responsibilities
Mm-hmm.
and what will not be tolerated. Now,
Mm-hmm.
above that, that's what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there needs to be a system put in place so everybody knows the punishment verbatim. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no, we don't have to have this conversation about who, what, why, don't really care.
There's no middle ground in
No,
regards.
no, no. Mandatory sentencing,
Mm-hmm.
mandatory going to trial. We're not paying for it. The taxpayers shouldn't pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But like you see, some laws now are being proposed where the victims of this type of behavior can not only pursue the agencies that the officers work for, but they can also pursue the agencies personally. I mean, excuse me, the people personally.
Personally, yeah. So you sue on both ends.
Damages, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But something, it must be dynamic. I am more, authoritarian in nature when it comes to military and law enforcement because I need it to be the same across the board for
Mm-hmm.
everybody. And anybody that don't go along with that program must go.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you would ever suggest in your mind, well, I don't think we should punish him like we punish him, you're fired.
Yeah.
You're fired
Mm-hmm. But
because
hold
you
on.
don't believe in being. You always want to allow bias.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get these issues.
And then some would say you can't fire a person based on their opinion.
I can fire a person for what I want to if they work for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you work for somebody else, you can be fired.
Yeah. You don't own that position.
No,
Mm-hmm.
no, not at all. You can send a teacher. You can fire a teacher for being at a strip club.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
But you don't want to fire a law enforcement officer that murdered somebody. But you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to fire a law enforcement officer that's having sex with underage girls. You don't want to fire law enforcement for doing anything that they want to do. That's always a struggle. But you send a teacher home day of
Mm-hmm.
till further notice.
Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10, they know until further notice. They pretty much know what that means.
Simply because of behavior that you deemed inappropriate for the position that they're in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's and that happens all the time. Yeah. Even at a bar,
Mhm.
if teachers are in a bar and someone take pictures of them drinking at
Yeah.
that bar, they could lose their job, man. They could lose their
Yes.
job for going to and
Yes.
in a friendly party, friendly gathering. You're there at the bar. You have a drink with your friends, your comrades, whoever it is, and somebody snapped that picture, send it to the district. You could be fired.
Yes.
That's a huge. There's a huge gap in that, Leonard, in the way that they're governed, in the way that the police force is governed. There's a huge gap there.
Right. And see, when you really understand it and look at it from that point of view, you don't get tied up uh waiting for the next episode in the series of what they gonna do about Derek Chauvin.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would already know what they was gonna do with you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It'd be done already, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm. It's a wrap. Go down to the
Yeah, well, it's written.
Yeah.
It's written.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you go off that paper, you're gonna have a problem.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Why it don't apply to such and such, but it apply? Well, never mind. I know what you're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to not be fair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All those people against these, like, say for instance, this is probably going to be one of the biggest plans that bills that Biden is pushing right now. You've never seen as much money in a bill for people.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
think, in terms
see,
of dollars.
and the thing about that, Leonard, you have some people on the other side that's complaining about how much money is involved in it. How much money is involved, man? And they're actually complaining, having a fit because of man, the trillions of dollars and blah blah blah.
All you
What?
got to do is change the name on where the money going, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell them it's going to their favorite charity.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them it's going to their favorite company. Tell them it's going to their favorite anything, and then go and watch where they put their money on a stock sheet. That's public record too, where your senators and representatives are investing their money.
Wow. See,
It's
now hold on
strange
now.
how that
Hold on.
money moves when bills move.
You just said something. I didn't know you could do that. Now you could go in and find out what they're investing in.
Oh, you can find out what the biggest money movers are investing in through certain platforms now.
Mm.
And mighty funny when you see people moving their money. Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some people, Martha Stewart went to prison for what? Insider trading.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. Follow the money.
just follow the money.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's something because and like I said, I'm at the about to talk to you off air to find out how I can find out those
Mhm.
six, which because I'm not clear on that. But yeah, you follow the money, you'll find out what's really going on, what the real nasty is.
So if you want to be involved and you
Mm-hmm.
want to know, a lot of the information is there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're sitting around waiting on MSNBC and Fox and everybody else to tell you, you're going to miss some things.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's as clear as the nose on your face. You just for whatever reason can't see it.
Exactly. So you know why I don't, I can be a little harsh with people when it comes to certain things. Well, ain't nobody told me. It ain't nobody's responsibility to tell you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know, go find out.
Mm-hmm.
Quit being less than and
Exactly.
expecting everybody else to be better and be more astute and more paying more attention. You should be paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Brother Pete, I see you join us, brother. Give us a call. 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. And the phone lines are open. Y'all give us a call. What do y'all think about some of the stuff we're talking about this morning? Excuse me. This certainly is not the topic of the day, but we're pulling back a couple of layers, man, talking about a few things. And we would love to have your input on it as well. So give us a call. 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. Phone lines are open and waiting on you. I got a line just for you. I got a line just for you. Give us a call. Let me make sure it's working. We're trying to get Sadaria in here. Sadaria, you there?
Yeah, I'm here finally. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Now we're talking about all the stuff that's going on and in the world today. Your mayor, Leonard, seems to think that she's lost a little bit of her luster, her glit, her shine, because this man has been reinstated. That shot, what's the name? Rashad. That shot
Brooks, Rayshard Brooks.
Rayshard Brooks.
hmm
He's
hmm
he's been reinstated. How do you view that? Do you think that she's lost some of her because she was real adamant about he has to be fired, he has to be this, and she came out strong, but now she's having to reinstate him. Does that mean that she's lost some of her glit?
You know, she in politics. That's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, where she may have really strongly felt that she would be able to make her words a truth, she's still dealing in politics. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, she is a African American woman. So not only is she African American, she's a woman. So
Mm-hmm.
we still live in a culture where those things matter. And then there's still the powers that be that really can control things behind the scenes that we can't see. So as far as if she's lost some of her luster, that may have been the whole purpose of the reinstatement. Not that it was something that she may have really wanted to do, but it may have been to power her down.
Mm.
Uh, that's just my take on it. And of course, after putting out such a strong voice where this was concerned, and then the tables being turned, and yet and still what she was promising didn't happen. Of course, people who don't understand the whole and how the system works, yes, she probably has lost some kudos with a lot of people for that reason. So
Do you
so that's kind of how I see that.
okay? Now let me ask you this question: do you still have confidence in her?
I have confidence in her as far as she can push it. I don't believe that she was just out there trying to make herself look good, and trying to deliver something that she knew she couldn't deliver. I believe she was sincere in what she was saying and in her attitude about the whole situation. Because on a real, it even though she's in politics and she has to look at things from a lot of different levels, she is still an African American, and
Mm-hmm.
she may be someone's mother. So even her emotional nurturing instinct can kick in to this whole situation. So I believe that she is a strong leader. She has a strong voice, and I believe that her intentions are real. She's just
Mhm.
fighting in a battle where she already has two strikes against her. She's African American and she's a
Mhm.
woman and
Mhm.
she's in politics.
Okay.
So that's, yeah. So for me, she hasn't lost anything. I mean, it's kind of disheartening that it didn't go the way that she spoke and in the voice and boldness that she spoke it. But
Mhm.
you know, it still is that she's in politics. So I look
Mhm.
at it from that perspective. Everybody may not, but
Okay.
that's kind of the perspective I looked at it in.
Okay. Leonard, have you lost any or all of your confidence in her to be able to do the job?
Well, I haven't spoken to her,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know her state of mind
Mm-hmm.
and why she's doing what she's doing, or why she can't get these things accomplished.
Yeah.
But trust me, I'm not giving her no pass neither.
Mm-hmm. And that's my point. Do you think public perception of her right now, being as it is, do you think she's lost some of her luster?
Yes, she had better fix this.
Mm.
We have no use for black mayors who cannot control their police.
Mm-hmm.
This is why she's given the authority to appoint the chief of police, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to people voting for the chief of police.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's great to say, well, we got a black mayor, but if the Klan run the police department, they're going to keep doing what they've been doing.
Yeah.
I don't care how many black faces you put somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
What is their agenda? What is their motive? How do they react in times like these? I've spoken with Miss Willis, the uh, district attorney in Fulton County,
Mm-hmm.
directly about various issues before she was elected. You need to explain to us, the public. We've heard that one, there's a conflict of interest and blah, blah, blah. You have too many
Explain
con-
to us.
you have too many conflicts of interest when it comes. Don't have another one. Don't have not one more conflict of interest when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to pressing charges against police officers for police misconduct.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk to me about it. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you had a time. This is the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sadaria was just talking about. Not only are you African American mayor, you're African American female.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, what was the former mayor of Atlanta, Kasim Reed?
Yes.
He walked right out there on that mic and fired the police chief because of a book he wrote.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you mean to tell me this mayor can't go follow an officer that murdered a citizen?
Mm-hmm.
That's under investigation.
Mm-hmm.
That's BS.
That's the clean version, y'all. Brother Pete, good morning. How you doing this morning, sir?
Ooh,
Hey.
doing good. It's a little chilly.
Yes, sir. Yes,
A little chilly. A little chilly this month.
My
Hey.
brother, Peter
Now,
brother.
Lynn Swan,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna need you to join me in on this version, brother.
Yes, sir.
Started from the bottom, now we here.
Mm-hmm.
Started from the bottom, and we find we still here. Started from the bottom while we here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm
Started
saying.
from the bottom, and the whole city still here. Started from the bottom while we here. Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn. Because you still got Keisha Lance Bottoms in
Yeah.
charge. I didn't think we was gonna be able to rise to the top.
Mm.
And Fatty Lewis, I don't know what Fatty Lewis is doing. So this is turning into the Cartoon Network.
Yes, sir.
Because we got the Lost Redneck as the commander
Governor.
in chief.
Yeah.
Then we the Lost Redneck Governor Kemp. Then we got still at the bottom Keisha Lance.
Mm-hmm.
And now we got Fatty Lewis.
Mm.
This is the Cartoon Network.
Come on.
That's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
The DA came in office with a desk full of dust of cases to deal with, bypassed them and decided to go after the former president.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they couldn't jam him up in D.C. Mitch McConnell said, yes, he was guilty. Yes, he was wrong. Yes, he was involved. Yes, he incited. So do you vote to hold him accountable? No.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
Wait a minute. So you just said he was wrong. He was.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he incited it, right. He sure did. So he's guilty of all of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you'll vote to hold him accountable? No. I don't vote to hold him accountable at all.
Mm. Wow.
This is the type of nonsense that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And when we elect representatives to do the business, do the business.
Mm-hmm.
See, don't get in here, like Leonard was saying, and play games.
Yeah.
If you're not ready for this arena, then don't even come in the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Howard been there for years, and he understood the game. He understood the game very well. Fannie Lewis has been in the office on the team for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Thought maybe she had learned something.
Willis.
Apparently she hasn't. Apparently she has not.
Mm-hmm.
Our brother used to always say to them, "We will vote you out."
Yes.
So maybe what needs to happen is the recall section of the official code of Georgia needs to be pulled up, reviewed, and enacted. I believe it's Chapter 4, Recall of Public Officials, Official Code of Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 4. I encourage all the listening audience in the Atlanta, Fulton County area to familiarize themselves with that section. Certainly, if you are an elected a registered voter, and prepare yourself, because there's a real swift solution to insolence, ignorance, and foolishness
Mm-hmm.
with elected officials. Immediately remove them from office.
Mm-hmm.
Stop playing with them.
Exactly.
Get them out.
Now, have you lost any of your favor, if you will, towards Miss Bottoms based on this?
I don't know Ms. Bottles personally. I have not had the privilege to speak to her.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been impressed with her performance at all.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I have not been impressed with her performance at all. She never fully had my confidence
Mm-hmm.
to
Okay.
begin with.
Okay.
When I watched how they handled the Centennial debacle
Mm-hmm.
down at the Money District downtown, when they tore the area up, and we were actually present there. We actually suggested to the white shirts, look, let this crowd move. You cannot
Mhm.
hold them here. They're insurrectionists in the crowd. You don't know these people. You're not going to be able to identify all these people. It just takes one or two of them to get it started.
Mm-hmm.
And mob mentality will kick in, and they are going to tear this area up.
Exactly.
And what happened?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Tore it up.
So just the way you go about handling your business seems, like you run Atlanta like it's a college town.
Mm-hmm.
And then Atlanta is a very unique situation because it's the major city, but also it's the seat of the state politics.
Mm-hmm.
And political gangbanging is the rule of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So the state is ran by the Republicans, and then you have a Democratic body that's in the major city.
Mm-hmm.
So political gangbanging is right at the top. It's the order of the day, not progression.
Mm-hmm.
Predatory governance on the people is the normal order of the day. Not investing in the people and maximizing the potential of the state. So there are the so-called leaders, their elected officials, their mentality toward governance is wrong across the board as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
I'm not shocked or taken aback at none of this foolishness. Now, what does shock me a little bit is you take this man who they haven't even had a trial on this issue yet, and you've already put him back on the force. Isn't it the same gentleman who was under detention or put on pause, staying at the sheriff's house, and who actually decided to go on vacation in Florida?
Yeah.
Isn't that the same one?
The same one.
That's the same one, right?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
So that should have been a big enough issue. You know, you don't even know how to follow orders right there. You can't even follow instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get back to the issue of the gentleman, hindsight is always 20/20, and certainly we start everything out from a truthful standpoint personally, and we align ourselves with what is right, and we completely stand against what is wrong. If the taser is such a deadly weapon, why was you using it on him in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
See, this is something, but then we also want to check the temperature
Mm-hmm.
because we still have a much more prevalent and precedent potentially setting case with the Ahmaud Arbery situation.
Mm-hmm.
And if Georgia is setting the tone for their intentions on how they see right and wrong, then we might be looking at the great flamed up state of Georgia here in the very near future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, look at this here. Jamarvia Robinson's participants, if you frequent downtown, you actually see some of those individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can walk right fast if you frequent downtown because they work there.
Exactly.
So now, what'll happen if somebody roll up on this dude and decide to get him some street justice since y'all so stupid and you gonna put him back out there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
And that's
I mean,
one of the things.
What kind of leadership?
Yeah.
But then again, I don't want to take over, but let's look at the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't the lost redneck and the attorney general wait 2 months and 12 days to arrest the individuals who killed Ahmaud Arbery on film through a vigilante action?
Mm-hmm.
The governor, the chief law enforcement official of the state, did not see the need to apprehend and detain these individuals for 2 months and 12 days.
Mm-hmm. Let me pull some more people into
we shouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah, exactly.
At what we're seeing that Atlanta's mayor and DA doing.
Okay. Let me pull some more people. Hold on, brother. Let me pull some more people. Hold on, don't go nowhere, brother. I want to go to Leonard. I'm gonna go to Rico. We got Rico with us this morning as well. Leonard, is there some things in behind the scenes? Is there some things that happen behind the scenes that we as the public would never see that influences our ideas and things like this when they happen? Is there some behind the door politics that goes on?
Always. A lot of politics is behind the door, but that's not the point. The point is what's up front.
Mm-hmm.
The laws that you can see and read. When we usually go after people, we usually go after them to see if they're following the policy that is established.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a problem with the policy, then that's what we go after, changing the policy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once the policies are changed, that's what we hold you accountable to. I don't hold you accountable to how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I hold you accountable to the law. I like Reverend Al's point of view. Reverend Al is trying to say, if this keeps, tell you what, all officers need to be tried by the federal government. How about that? We're not even giving you that no more. We're going to cut you out because across these states, we can't even look like a federal leadership showing our stance on these issues because of jurisdiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to strengthen the Office of Civil Rights as it relates to this issue. And that all officers are held liable according to federal law.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Rico, Keisha Lance Bottoms, our mayor, had to reinstate the one that killed Rashad.
She's the mayor of Atlanta.
Mayor of Atlanta, yeah. Had to reinstate him, give him his job back. Now he still have to go through the process. He still got to go through the trial and all those things, but he have his job back. In your eyes, did she lose some of her luster in having to do that?
In my eyes, kind of wet now.
Do you think she lost some of her luster, some of her shine in having to give him his job back in light of what happened?
Oh yeah, that's all. Well, she's gonna lose some kind of shine anytime she does anything that's disappointing the black people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's the way it goes. Look, if Martin Luther King had to concede if some black man was guilty of something that everybody was in an uproar about, that would be disappointing. Right now, there are people mad that other black people identify with what the officer did in that Makai Bryant shoot last week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not a couple of weeks ago after
Couple weeks ago, yeah.
We took an L. We would have took an L either way. And guess who everybody pointing the finger at? They point the finger at that cop. And then they point the finger at black people that supports that cop for understanding that that was a bang decision. You know what I'm saying? It was a lose decision pretty much.
Yeah.
So anytime somebody is going to go against the popular opinion of the people, you know what I'm saying, they're going to lose some luster. Maybe they have to do a little bit more digging into why she had to do it. Maybe her hands were tied legally. Maybe if she wouldn't have, she would have been violating some policy, and she would have actually been getting herself in a position where she would have lost her title, responsible legally, and not had a leg to stand on. So maybe this was something legal that she had to do because that's the way it's set up. She had to play the game until further notice. You know what I mean? But she will lose some points in the community, you know, but I mean, ain't nobody perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And like we were saying earlier, man, there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that Joe Public could never know.
I was glad you brought that up because when I first got on earlier and started listening, y'all was talking about investigations, and the first thing that came to my mind was the SEC investigation. Along right before 9/11, and you know, we have this issue about the question of why. 9/11 to me, if you ask enough questions, you'll realize there were a lot of powerful people benefited. It seemed like the world lost. Some people in the world gained. They gained in a big way, huge, amazing way. They gained. Some people gained the opportunity to not risk their freedom being taken from them and being arrested because of an SEC investigation that just completely went out the window with building number 7. So, you know, you start talking about people in power behind the scenes. They like to throw words on it to make you feel foolish for realizing that it's automatic that it has to happen. Behind every system that's functioning right now, there has to be a power structure, a designer, somebody with an idea that created it and those that support it for it to become successful. That's with everything in existence. So to make people not realize that's how it functions, they'll throw a name like Illuminati on it and then tell you you're But you know, thinking about it, there are Illuminati secret society type systems in everything that exists, even when it comes to promoting curriculums for school boards.
Wow.
One group that had to promote education the way they wanted it to be taught. And then they lobby. They use influence. They use their power and their money. So now that's pretty much the same way Illuminati works, it's just on another level.
Yeah.
Leaving that power structure.
Exactly. Hey, Mutual. Hey, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go to Kurt. Curtis, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, what's up, Remy? What's going on, man?
Hey.
Baltimore City in the house.
Yes, sir. Good to have you. Good to have you, man. We're actually going to jump into our topic for the day. We're going to jump into our topic for the day, and we're going to do it right now. And we're going to start it off with you, brother. Excellent question. Everybody talk about, you know, rights and this right and that right, and you have the right to do this, you have the right to do that. And a lot of people understand what it means to the civil rights and what that is. But I need y'all to educate me and help me understand, what are your human rights? What are your human rights? Civil rights aside, Curtis, what are your human rights?
My human rights is the right to exist, the right to live. God gave me that right. My human right is the right to fair and equal treatment as a human being. That's what my human rights are. Human rights are, how could I put this? Human rights are international. That they're not local.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people kind of get this thing twisted. You know, the civil rights movement was a movement that was supposed to move from civil rights to human rights.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, Black folk across America was not being treated like equal humans. And as a result, my dear brother, we might have to go on and get you some security guards, because now you're talking about an issue that those much greater than us was murdered for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they understood that, okay, we have achieved civil rights, but the greatest achievement would be human rights. So my human right by God is the right to life, liberty, and my pursuit to my happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what your human rights are. Your human rights is the right to be acknowledged as a human being and exist in a world that is fair
Mm-hmm.
and balanced.
Yeah.
I don't believe God made the world an imbalanced world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean that would be my answer. I'm not always right about everything.
Okay, let me pull some more people in. Hold on, brother. I don't know how much time we have with you, but hold on as long as you can. I'm definitely gonna circle back and come back to you. Toya with a T. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Hello. What's up, y'all?
Hey, what's going on with you, sister? What's going on? We're asking a question, and I need some understanding. Y'all help me understand this thing. But Toya, what are your human rights? What are your human rights?
According to who? The truth? According to America. Because right now, America, I don't think we have none.
Mm-hmm.
I think we kind of like pets around this guy. You know what I'm saying? Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, you killed one. Oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. Plenty of more pets running around this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even really sure no more. But what I thought when God created us, we had a couple of rights. You know what I'm saying? Like, freedom to be able to say what you want to say. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They started making up these other rights, like once we started talking around, being humans and stuff get civilized, they put other rights like, innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
They put laws and amendments in place. You can't be beating on folks to make them do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And when I think human rights, I think the rights you have as a human being.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have a right in the decision and the choice to make certain options, not to hurt anyone, but you have a right to defend yourself. Rights that God created you with. It comes like that. A right to think for your own, not to be no robot and be told what to eat, how to eat it, how to chew. You know what I'm saying? So I just think about the basic abilities that we have as human beings that we get to use.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get great thoughts in this system that makes me think, oh, civil rights, oh, your human rights. Oh, well, as a Black person, you can't vote. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that vote should be a human right. If we're going to run this as some type of structured establishment, you know what I'm saying? If we're all going to work this thing together, then yeah, I need to have the same abilities, capabilities, and rights as you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we lose that. We get so wrapped up in this, this stimulation America has put forth, the nations have put forth. We got leaders that have set up something to influence us to do what they want. And I think that we get lost in their laws and not in our human rights.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people are scared to talk up for themselves. The police officer pull them over and they know they didn't do it. And, no, I can't say nothing back to the police. You got a right to say something back if you didn't. I get your fear.
Mm-hmm.
But you got a right to stand up for yourself, man. You got a right to say something wrong on the job if they're putting their hands on you or something like that. You know what I mean? So
678.
Everybody do it different. But
exactly. 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. Asking the question, what are your human rights? Brother Pete, what do you say to that, man? What are your human rights?
The first human right that we have, and it has been declared, is you have the right to proclaim your nationality.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has a right to designate their and confirm their ethnicity and their lineage and make that perfectly known. You have the right to exist on this planet. You have the right to operate and utilize your intellectual and physical abilities. You have the right to have health, clean water, adequate food, housing. These are human rights that exist by you existing. You have the right to a freedom that does not openly infringe on anyone else. And you also have the right to adequate justice. These are human rights that all possess. So when we're talking about human rights, these are things that exist, and different ones have come together to confirm that these are rights that we agree everyone does have. Now, there are efforts constantly to impede these rights. So it's important that you familiarize yourself with the Declaration of Human Rights so that you have a better idea of what that is, what they are, and how to operate and utilize them.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Rico, what do you say to that, brother? We asking a question. What are your human rights? So, what are your human rights?
Your human rights, man, it's just the inevitable right to survive, the right to have equal treatment, the right to have the equal access and opportunity to experience all the joys of life that's available. If you got a chance to fly to the moon, I should have a chance to fly to the moon. If you have a chance to drink clear water, clean water, I should have the opportunity to drink clean water too. I should have all the opportunity to experience everything that everybody else on this planet has the opportunity to experience. I should have the opportunity to be as successful as anybody else on this planet, as long as it doesn't come at anybody else's expense. Achieve my joy, achieve my success, achieve my happiness, accomplish any kind of goal, and I have to cause somebody else to lose in the process, I don't have the right to do that because they have the right to happiness too. They have to not be oppressed, brutalized. They have, we all have the right to go where we want to go. If there's something far away and on the other side of the country, I shouldn't have to have a passport. I should be in that place with my own earthly, God-given eyes. I should be able to witness and experience everything that he produced. I shouldn't have to go through another man to experience all the things that this world has to offer. So everything all the opportunities, all the accesses, all the experiences, all the positive things that makes a life fulfilling, I have the right to that, even if it's just living a peaceful life with nobody impeding on it and stepping on it. I got the right to survive. Right to try to make it to 100.
Yeah.
Or I have a right to just drink it up and end it at 50.
Wow.
But I have the right to do that. So I mean, all these experiences, whether you get addicted to them or not, you know what I'm saying? As long as it doesn't hurt another person, you have the right to experience that.
That's good. That's good. Got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. This is Bishop.
Good morning, Bishop. How you doing this morning?
Man, blessed, man. By the best. How you guys?
Hey, blessed as well, brother. Blessed as well. Asking the question, man, what are your human rights? Your human rights.
Well, I think, listening to Pete and Rico, man, they just broke it down by every step that is privileged to us. We should not be deprived of anything. I was born in this country. I'm entitled to any and everything that any other nationality gets or is able to obtain. And one of the things I love is that the freedom of speech is part of my rights. As a human being, I have the right to speak and say what I need to say, not just anything or what I want to say in a way that's going to be disrespectful, but I have that right and privilege to travel here and there to and fro and not be, harassed. So when we look at it, and we look at it in truth, Pete just summed it up. I'm entitled to whatever the next man is entitled to. And what's crazy, yesterday I was looking at a program where they talking about black and how uh, another race, Caucasians, how they mistreated us and they mocked us and they did all those things. And they looked at us as not human beings. Not realize, hey, this man can talk, this man can see, this man can move just like I do. But yet they looked at us as some type of livestock. So therefore, they took away all your rights. They took away all the advantages for you to be able to move forward and be successful. They took it away because they don't look at us, or they don't look at blacks in the same light they look at whites or Japanese. Just saying it.
Wow. So Daria, what do you say to that, sister? What are your human rights? So Daria, you there? Captain Leonard, take that, brother. What are your human rights?
I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute.
Okay, go ahead.
When I think about, and I just recently was pondering on this word, because you guys know I stay in the Word of God. So first of all, God never called us human. He called us man, which is male and female, meaning mankind. So human, when mankind came up with the word human, it's really a twofold word. It should be HUEMAN. Hue means many colors. When you think of hue, that's supposed to be many colors of man, which is male and female. So human is supposed to represent, in the first place, if we're going to use that word, it's supposed to represent many colors of mankind. So if we're talking about the rights of many colors of mankind, everybody's rights are the same, because we're talking about all the colors of the spectrum of mankind, which is male and female, that God created us as. So my human rights is, as Rico said, and as everybody has said, the right to anything that anybody else has a right to. If they have a right to, and this is even on the negative end, and we were talking about the police officers, if they have a right to go out and tase people and kill people, I got that same right, because we're talking about human. We're not talking about political. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about the human right for every person living and breathing, since we all breathe the same air and we all live and operate in the same manner as mankind. Everybody's rights are the same. Now, are we all treated the same? No, because we stuck that word hue in front of the word man, which meant mankind. And once we stuck that word in there, then that man started looking at the different colors of the races and then determining which ones could be considered a part of mankind. So the problem is, when you look across the board at our world, at our government, at people in general, the problem is every time man sticks his hands into God's already given principles and laws, instead of just following the laws and principles that God has set down that are really unchangeable. We keep trying to change them, but we can't. Because they're universal principles that nobody can change. Exactly. As mankind, the universal principle is that we all breathe the same air. Can't nobody change that. So that's my take on human rights.
Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. Captain Leonard, what is your take on this thing, man? How do you feel about this, man? What are your human rights?
Well, technically, human rights are an issue simply based on how humans have been behaved. And these human rights apply to, when you talk about human rights, they apply to everyone, human being, regardless of race, creed, or color. And not just that, since the 40s, the mid 40s, the UN has focused on human rights. And even they were recently here, I say recently, it's not recently, 2006, there's a Human Rights Council.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when you're talking about human rights, you're usually talking about those rights that human beings have in specifically as it relates to governments. So when you think about it, generally, the basic human right is a right to life. Freedom from torture, inhumane and degrading treatments, slavery, forced labor. You have a right to liberty, security, right to a fair trial, no punishment without law, respect for your private and family life, home, correspondence, and all those types of things are general things. But these are general things that all human beings, according to some governments, should have.
Yeah.
They had an entire convention, and you got to remember now, we went through all these world wars, right? We had 2 huge wars where the world was at war. World War I and World War II. So around 45, folks say we got to do better, because you have to think about it. When we send our military somewhere, a lot of times we say we going in because of a human rights issue.
Wow.
So that human rights issue for which you going in attacking another country needs to be justified. That's why this UN council sits there to determine whether or not it really is a human right. Civil rights are how we deal with one another.
Let me ask you this question. What will you say to the people that would say to you, yes, they do that. Yes, they go into all the countries because certain human rights have been violated, but they don't do anything in America when our human rights are violated every day?
Well, that's more subjective for the very simple fact we have law. We have a court system or what have you. We have a problem with racism, but we still have a system to protect rights. Some countries don't even have them. Every country doesn't have civil rights. Every country does not have some of the rights that Americans enjoy. So you look at it from that point of view, and those other ones were just like the 5 basic ones that I mentioned, or about 5 of them, which pretty much govern a lot of the others. But human rights are those rights that everyone have a right to, regardless. And most countries agree to this because we're people. We're human beings.
Yeah.
We innately feel the same way about being human as other human beings. So we can agree to most people can agree that yes, these are human rights. But everyone doesn't.
Okay, somebody just turn the speaker on because we're getting a background feed from somebody's line. So make sure you turn it on, turn it off so we don't have that. Appreciate it. Curtis, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
No, Leonard is absolutely right. The easiest way to break it down, the difference in civil rights and human rights from a law perspective is civil rights is always local. It's always national. It does not have to go before a tribunal court or international court of justice. Human rights goes before a national court. I mean, an international court. My bad. Human rights goes before an international court. Such things as like the United Nations. When the United Nations get involved, most of the time, and we deploy to support the United Nations, it's just like Leonard said, it's based upon some form of violation of giving cultures human rights, their right to exist in a fair and equal opportunistic space. America has violated the African American man and female human rights for 400 plus years. There's even a violation of your human rights written in your civil law. Just to throw one out there, it's still on the books in the state of South Carolina that a black man can't marry a white woman. A white man can't marry a black woman. That's still on the books. So you telling me two humans fall in love, and because they have two different shades of skin, they can't love each other? Is that what you're telling me? Or you telling me that, okay, a LGBTQ human being does not deserve the same rights as a heterosexual human being? Is that what you're telling me? So the LGBTQ don't deserve, for example, due process of law, ain't never broke the law. However, this Caucasian American rapist and serial killer deserves due process. Is that what you're telling me? So see, there's human law violations written into our civil law, and it just has to stop. Like, people not, this younger generation is not taking that no more, man. They'll set this whole thing on fire first. They are not going to take, they don't have the tolerance, nor the temperance, nor the patience to deal with that kind of foolishness. And I can't blame them. Because our tolerance, temperance, and patience went out the door with us. We're the last generation, Raheem, to have that tolerance, temperance, and patience, and needed to have it. They don't need to have it. There's no need for them to be tolerant, temperate, and patient.
So the fight,
injustice.
So the fight is different now.
The fight is totally different. One of the reasons the fight is totally different, the last call to make you understand why the fight is totally different, was during the Obama administration. I don't know how many people remember this, but do y'all remember when Obama came on TV, they was talking about gun violence right after Sandy Hook. And Obama said on TV to the national public, we have a problem with people transporting guns. They're transporting guns from the Tennessee state line into Maryland. And they shouted him down and told him he was a lie, said he was lying to the public, and this, that, and the third. Well, I wonder how many people paid attention, because shortly thereafter, like within the next week, they caught a van full of guns coming across highway, coming up 81, coming off of Highway 40. If you're coming off of Highway 40 to get on 81, you can only be in one place. That's either Tennessee or Virginia. They caught him coming straight into Maryland.
Wow, good deal.
So it wasn't the first time that had happened, but they can't do that now, because guess what? Their own greed has caused a dilemma, because now it's too many guns on the street.
Absolutely. Okay, hold on for a minute. We keep this thing going. I got another caller. I got a caller from the 678 area code. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Rico, coming to you next. 678 area code.
Raheem.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This is Raheem. Really,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Who's this?
Raheem.
Hey, Raheem. Raheem, what's up, man? How you doing? I got you. Yes, sir.
All right.
Hey, man. Hey, we asking a question, man. I'm glad to have you this morning. Appreciate you calling in. What are your human rights, brother? What are your human rights?
To my knowledge, self-preservation. I mean, preserving your life. I mean, itself. I mean, I can't see nothing that tops that. I mean, now, if we want to get down into the details of all of the human rights, but from the topic that I'm in, I mean, self-preservation.
Okay.
It's God-given right, to my understanding.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. Rico, what do you stand on that, brother? What are your human rights, Rico?
This is an opportunity to have a long-term fulfilling life. Going back to what I said earlier, it really just boils down to having the opportunity and the access to achieve or experience everything that this world has to offer, and during the time that you have on this earth. Everything positive. Like I said, going back to as long as it doesn't cause a demise, or it doesn't come to the expense of another human being. I like what Sideria was saying about the human, because it's funny that once man got authority, somehow man gave man authority over other men. Then that started a problem. That caused loopholes that would say, you know what? Even though we have a tape on George Floyd and Derek Chauvin showing that he was murdered intentionally, just because a jurist went to a rally, we could give him another
Please leave your message for.
that takes that case. But then in another case, you have somebody that kills Emmett Till, and you have all the evidence in the world, and they get off scot-free and then come back later on and give a magazine interview and say, yeah, we did it. No jeopardy. So like she said, when man puts his favor in front of it, man puts his agenda, you know what I'm saying, in front of it, then human rights start going out the window, you know, and then you have people that use human rights as a guide to go and fulfill another agenda, such as when America went over to Iraq under the guise of the axis of evil and 9/11 affiliation and weapons of mass destruction. You know, they went to Libya under the guise of wanting to bring democracy and tore up a country that was stable. And then they didn't want to investigate 9/11 when during the election, well, I say the campaign with McCain and Obama, they did something unprecedented. We're gonna stop in a recession. And in the meantime, I'm not going to have an investigation on the Bush administration about this weapons of mass destruction lie that they never came up with it. We just going to let it go. All those people that died in Iraq and all the soldiers that went over there dying for another agenda, go over there and die for weapons of mass destruction. So their human rights were violated on both ends. Somebody manipulated the situation to turn humans against each other. They used humans to kill these humans under a lie of democracy and world safety and against the axis of evil. I mean, they play this superhero and villain game. And they violated human rights in the process. They violated my human rights, just even manipulating my mind frame. What they have going on. They violated my human rights, exposing me to what they did on 9/11, that conspiracy, that mess they want us to believe about 19 other people having the audacity and the skill to achieve what they achieved. They manipulate my human rights to see the tape of the Pentagon and to try to force me to believe that a plane actually got that low and hit the side of that building. Why you won't show tapes of that? What's the hold up? Why you confiscated cameras from all the security hotels, security cameras that showed the whole incident? I mean, you know, when you start talking about human rights, man, it's a demonic evil entity in place that's really manipulating, and they have the authority to do it. And I think that's what man messed up at. That's why I was glad she went there, because man made messes with our problems on.
Exactly. Good deal. Good deal. Let's go to Leonard. Leonard, what do you say to that, man? From what we're saying, man, help us understand. Help me understand what are our human rights.
Like we said before, you have to understand that a lot of people really have to think of it in this frame. Rights are protections. So they come into play when there's an issue on your protection. The only way you lose some of your human rights is actually through due process, or you're accused of a crime or something of that nature. So human rights are those rights that particularly because remember, now it don't exist just because you feel that way.
Yeah.
This is a actual part of law and how you seek recourse when there are violations of these established rights. Like I say, just like religion, generally, if you look at the better religions of the world, where a majority of people are a part of, I shouldn't say they're better, they're just a majority of the people are a part of certain, top 5, for instance. There's usually some theme of loving your neighbor and treating your neighbor well. So basically, these human rights come out of that concept. And governments adopt these human rights.
Yeah.
because government does what? It governs people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even when we have issues here in America, as the Run Brother was saying, you don't go to court for a violation of your human right. You have to go to a national court.
Mm-hmm.
African Americans have gone to the UN to protest and let them know this is what has happened to me in America, and my human rights have been violated. And you can seek recourse from the United Nations Human Rights Council.
Mm-hmm.
But as Pete was mentioning before, that's that global level, the UN, the United Nations. That's where your human rights protections are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
People don't, and then you come down like when we talk to people about law. There are federal laws.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are state law. Those govern America.
Yeah.
Our previous administration completely wanted to pull out, really tried to completely pull out of the UN. Didn't even want to play on that team. Want to do whatever you want to do. We don't want. We're gonna do what we want to do over here, without your input. So when you heard the one brother talk, when Rico was talking about the ICC, the International Criminal Court, they wanted to try our president. Why? Because the victims in another country brought that to the UN. So you bring these human rights issues to this global council like the United Nations. If you can't get any recourse in the US.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I say, we're a human rights organization, which means we will fight for people's human rights as well as their civil rights.
That's good. That's good. Curtis, you trying to say something, man? I want to get to a few more people. Go ahead. What's on your heart?
Yeah, I'm ready to go in here. I gotta, punch in and make the donuts. But I'm glad Leonard mentioned that because they're not talking about it because they always try and protect their own image. But not only has the UN brought charges against America on human rights violations that is being looked at right now specifically towards the African American community. They have also, Leonard is absolutely correct, they have also pushed to charge Donald J. Trump with human rights violations with the folks on the southern border, with separating them children and them families.
Yeah.
So see, they're trying to cover that up because they're trying to protect the image, the overall image of America. It's sad because we have to accept that by trying to cover it up, you almost giving them a pass. So I just wanted to chime in and say that for the listeners, if y'all want to look it up, you can probably Google it. But yeah, America is being looked at right now. It is on the floor of the UN, the human rights violations, not only to the African American community, but to the Hispanic community as a whole.
Exactly. Good.
I'll holler at y'all. Y'all be good. I love y'all, man.
Hey, love you as well, brother. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Bishop, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Bishop.
I'm right here. Unmuted. Well, I'm telling you, man, Leonard brought out a lot of information that is very pertinent that we should listen to. And like I said, this is a great topic. This morning to be talking about human rights. And again, I can just go on to speak to the degree of saying, hey, anything that anybody else is privileged to, I am privileged to as well. As we were talking, I was looking at the Bill of Rights, which basically is talking about the human rights given to a man, and then how select individuals want to try to disregard our privileges as a human being. And I would tell and encourage anybody, hey, you just stand up for your rights, stand up for your freedoms, stand up for your things that you know or you know that you're entitled to do. And then move. Let's keep moving forward. Don't let anybody put their foot on your neck. Progress. You want to continue, you move their foot off you, and you keep moving forward.
Exactly.
And the fight is, and I say the fight, in other words, the struggle is real. You just got to keep fighting.
678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. Phone lines are open. We're asking the question, what are your human rights? What are your human rights? We'd love to hear from each and every one of you. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Brother Pete, talk to me, brother. Let me ask you this question. We're talking about human rights. Have we as a community, as a group of people, have we given away our human rights, or have they just been taken?
That's twofold. That's first.
Yes.
That's exactly where I was getting ready to go. Human rights on one hand are the rights that you just have by existence.
Yes. Okay? Yeah.
It's not something that anyone, anything can infringe on. And then right away, you exist within the boundaries of latitude, longitude, landmass, and then they put names on them. State, county, city, country names, put up a governing authority, and then here comes the nonsense. Okay, here comes the issues. So on one hand, the human rights that we have as flesh and blood sentient beings are there because we are here. Okay, but then they also fall up under a jurisdiction of enforcement when you're dealing with governance. So a lot of, if we're talking about specifically in the United States, we have, my brother said it perfect, we have a system of laws. At least we do have a system of laws. The operation of the law, the interpretation of the law, the enforcement of the law, the knowledge of the law, all of that, it has been greatly affected. It can go from one side, clear off to the other, and circle all the way back around in some cases. So it's a unique situation, here in America. But at the same time, we dealing with living people. So we have our own perspectives and opinions, prejudices or whatever, wheels, and it can affect that process. So on the one hand, in America, we need to really greatly understand the system of laws. And then we need to understand the trickery that's been done with the system of laws.
Yes, sir.
Because we do have laws here in this country. But then we also have some systems that have been put in place on top of those systems of laws. In between those system of laws, we have some amendments and adjustments. Okay? Certain local jurisdictions have the ability to directly, locally dictate what they specifically want in their area, where you can cross a latitude, longitude line, and that very issue is totally different in this bound area. So we have all of that. But for us, we really need to understand the governance of this society. We melanated folk, need to learn how and go back to enjoying exercise. Involve ourselves in this little exercise called reading.
Wow.
We need to intensely involve ourselves in reading and understanding, interpreting, overstanding, the young people say today, the concepts of the rules of governance in this society. It will enlighten us greatly. It will empower us immensely. It may offend us slightly as well, and it's going to disappoint you too.
Yeah.
But when you really get down to where the structure, where did it start? Start there. And make sure you clip every last thing that has been done. Remember, there's been sections of reconstruction. What does that word mean?
Yeah.
We need to understand these things. And then we would not, yes, I think we do somewhat give away some of our human rights, but if we have the clarity, we will be armed with the knowledge being power, and we won't yield any of our rights.
Exactly. Good deal.
You must learn KRS-One.
Good deal. I'm going to go to Raheem, but I'm gonna go to Sadaria first. She's been waiting for a second as well. Sadaria, what's on your heart?
Just listening to all the gentlemen and their enlightenment in the law. I'm not a big law person. Learning to be really from being on this panel and listening to the different things and the climate of our country is becoming necessary for people to understand law. But law is a necessity. God instituted law in the Bible. So law is a necessity in order for a group of people or mankind to even get along. There had to be law. But the thing that creates an issue in our laws is what the last gentleman just said: perception. How a person perceives that particular law, perception, opinion, and a person's ability to understand and decipher the laws. When I worked in real estate, and this is kind of relevant, one of the biggest issues, people would buy houses and not read the loan documents. But then on the other case, if you read the loan documents, because of the words that they used and the trickery and how they set them up in the loan documents, you would miss very important, pertinent things that apply to the $300,000 that you're spending. So it's the same thing with us as uneducated in law human beings. We can go and read these things, and because of our lack of understanding of how they've engrafted the words in the law, then we go off half-cocked thinking that we understand the law, and we began to fight for something that we really don't understand in its fullness. The other thing is, if our human rights are being violated, and they are, it's because of us not understanding the law, not knowing how to utilize it to work for us in an everyday situation, and understanding that even in many times, if we know the law, there is no equality in the country that we live in. So if we're not willing to possibly die for what we do understand, then people dumb themselves down because they want to continue to live and have the ability to pursue, hopefully, as much happiness as they can achieve in a country that is not an equal country.
That's good. We got the feedback coming back from somebody's line. There we go. I think that was Darius' line. We got that taken care of. Let me go to Raheem. Raheem, what's on your heart? And we got a caller. Hold on. We're coming to you next.
Well, the only thing I can say, I came in partway through the conversation, so I missed some of it. But
brother, are you talking directly into your phone? We got a little skipping going on. Are you talking directly into your phone?
Hold on.
Okay.
All right, how about now?
Much better.
Okay. So from what I can see, and my take on it is we get tricked out of some of our human rights right here in America, just through politics and religion. I ain't gonna get so much into the religious aspect of it, but let's go politics. Black people just solely committing to the Democratic Party and not seeing nothing no other way. I think we lose a lot of our ground there, rather than holding these people accountable for things that they don't promise us. I can see a lot of things getting snatched from us right there. I'm real big on Second Amendment rights. Being able to protect yourself. But I see that, being threatened, with the way these mass shootings been going, I can see the direction they going with it, want to take guns from people. And I just don't see, uh, I don't see, how you'll be able to defend yourself if they take everybody's guns away from them.
Yeah, exactly. We got another caller from the 678 area code. We're gonna go to that caller. Rico, be on standby. Coming to you next, brother. 678. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Annette Davis Jackson. Good morning.
Hey, Annette, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good morning to you.
Vitamin D.
Absolutely. We're talking about it, and I need to ask you a question. Now, I need you to educate me. What are human rights? What are human rights? We know we talk about civil rights all the time, but what are human rights?
Human rights are rights that are inherent, to the individual. That means that they were born with it. Mm-hmm. Nobody can take it away. And a lot of times, we want to choose to blame anybody, and say that you're taken away by human rights. How can they take away something that they've never, ever had? It's inherent to your person, right? Mm-hmm. You're free from slavery. You're in freedom. Why don't people know that we're in freedom so that you have the opportunity to do anything that you want? And that's why the United Nations has said, hey, you know what? You have human rights. Now, a lot of times people want to trample on human rights, and even sometimes the United Nations, does things against American protocol. However, you have inherent rights that you were born with, what we consider as unalienable rights by God. Nobody on the face of the planet can take your rights away from you. That is human rights. Mm-hmm. You are free to speak. You are free to have an education. You're free to have your being where you can move, where you can buy property, life, liberty, and property. You're governed under the United States Constitution, which you are protected, which a lot of blacks feel that they have no rights because they're 3/5 of the person. No, 3/5 had to do with voting. It did not have to do with you being 3/5 of a person. You were never, ever, ever in your life 3/5 of a person. So you have inherent rights and you have unalienable rights. Mm-hmm. Now, it's what you do with those rights and how you press or enforce the rights for yourself. Mm-hmm. And find organizations who can press those rights if your rights have been violated.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Good deal. Rico, now let me ask you this question. I'm going way on back, going way on back in the past. When we were walking as slaves and up until today, do we have human rights back then? Because if we said certain things during that time, we'll be beaten or killed. What has changed today? Do we have rights? Have they been granted to us in this day and time?
Oh yeah, Pete brought up the word Reconstruction earlier. There's been laws put in place to banish that behavior and that activity over centuries, and then there's also been laws to counter the profits made from it, so that those people can go back and start recouping the benefits of it. Mm-hmm. Pro laws, convict leasing. Mm-hmm. You got so many different systems that were put back in place so the practice of slavery could go back to it. Maybe not the brutality, the brutal part of it, but the part of it. You know what I'm saying? As far as reaping benefits from free labor, they found a way to manipulate that. Listening to that, by not raising minimum wage and not wanting to adjust the economy for the cost of living the way they should, maybe every 4 years. Mm-hmm. They still are somewhat oppressing people and keeping them from having the ability to grow, keeping them in a hopeless place. I want to address what you had asked Pete earlier. You asked were we relinquishing our rights or were they always being taken, and it's working both ways. When you have this mentality, what's the use? What's the use in voting? What's the use of saying anything? What's the use in protesting? What's the use in going to talk to this attorney? When you have that mentality, what is the use? Then you start feeling hopeless. Mm-hmm. start relinquishing your rights. When you refuse to participate in voting, that's a way for you to affect the laws that protect your rights or take away your rights. So when you refuse to participate, when you refuse to stand up and fight, when you refuse to even acknowledge or be concerned about government and law, you relinquish your rights. When you refuse to participate or be aware of what's going on in your local government, you relinquish your rights. You know, if you refuse to stand up and fight and die, like Sedaria said, you are relinquishing your rights. Because somebody out there that claims they're fighting for the democracy of all is willing to try to take your rights away, and that's their agenda. So, you know, you hear people say, what's the use of vote? My vote don't count. Yeah, you are relinquishing your rights, your human rights, civil rights, and your rights to speak up on behalf of how you feel or how you are governed. So, you know, we do it and they do it. You know, if they wasn't doing it, then it wouldn't be an issue right now with the voting rights bill that y'all have going on in Georgia, or the one that they had in Alabama so many years ago with vote ID laws. Right now, they trying to restrict the vote because Georgia went red. So if you do have the audacity to continue to stand and fight and utilize your vote, then they want to try to prohibit you. But for some people, all the tactics that were used to try to demoralize you or to sort of try to take your willpower or your motivation away to be involved it has worked for many in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Badger, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
It's a blessed day.
Yes, sir. Badger, we're asking the question, what are your human rights? What are your human rights? What do you say to that, Badger?
Serve Creator. That's, to me, that's human rights. However, there's a lot of people that don't want you to. They details. I guess to be able to serve how you're called to serve. You know, if your call is to get into medicine, you know, there are paths to be able to go in the medicine. You're gonna have to fight and work hard for it. But that's pretty much everything across the board. But there's always going to be people that's going to want to try to keep you down. That's all throughout history. There's always been people like that.
Wow. That's good. Toya with a T. Human rights, sister, and what are your human rights? Or have your human rights been violated in any shape, form, or fashion?
Oh, I'm quite sure they have, but y'all know I'm gonna do what I want to do. You know, I can't stop. That's just why the Lord made me born in 77. Because if I was born in 1600, the whole race would have been gone, wiped out, fooling with me, honey. Because I cannot. I'm just not created that way. Once I found out that the Lord created me in an image like Him, that means I got some power in me, baby. And can't no human being come around here shutting that thing down unless it's a human being that's come straight from the Lord, honey. So I'm quite sure they have and tried, and I'm probably looked at as an outcast. For it, you know what I'm saying? And let's be honest. Let me talk about human rights not coming from a government perspective, right? Because my human rights was violated being molested. You feel what I'm saying? Those are like child rights. You feel what I'm saying? So let's not get wrapped up in everything that the government do, and instead of talking about what humans do. Humans violate other humans' rights. Period. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get a little bit deeper, right? Even when we were a kid. I'm not a kid. 14, 15, 16. My parent asked us to do something that we don't want to do. It don't have to be nothing bad. But you might have been asking me to do something that wasn't right. And I'm 16. I said, I don't want to do that no more. Now you want to get beat, thrown out, and all that other kind of stuff now because I'm too old to just do what you say now. You know what I'm saying? I'll take your clothes off so I can spank you. Nah, I'm not gonna take off no clothes now. Now you can spank me,
Mm-hmm.
but taking off clothes, no, we're not gonna do that one.
Mm-hmm.
Boop, bop, boop, bop, boop. There you go. You're finna get a violation. You're finna get a human head beat violation right now. You know, so I think that when we think about this, we need to think about that
She
these
said
things
a
are
human
actions of
head beat
humans.
violation. She said
You know what I'm saying?
a human head beat violation. Lord, my
Because you know you're not listening to your parents. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna get the beat down. You can say whatever you want to. They don't care nothing about no human rights. Because I told you to take them clothes off, or I beat you and took them clothes off, and now you're gonna get the human beat down violation. Period. But I mean, I'm just saying, you know, we need to think about that. These are not words that do these actions. These are not writings on papers that commit some of these violations. They are humans that are violating these violations, you know, who are committing these acts. And this is what we should, you know, don't focus on. We as humans need to learn how to find better ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me go to Raheem. Raheem, you said you wanted to comment on something.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, I actually had two, but as far as the brother that was talking about the voting rights, relinquishing your rights. Now, if
people look like Raheem unfroze and the phone line.
Yeah, I can see. I was sitting here, and you know, when the conversation stopped, is usually when I look up.
Go ahead, Lennox. It's been a second for you.
You know, just to ask, you know, people have to understand this notion of rights is not something, like I say, it's about protections. And this whole issue of rights came about because of kings and people being treated a certain way that they didn't like. And so what happens is when you get treated a certain way you don't like, there's bound to be fights. And so this whole system of democracy is based on this concept. And say, for instance, America today is people left England to come to America to exercise more freedoms. And that's why people look at democracy, because democracy is really it's pretty new, and it's based on a consulting government style, which everybody has input. So everybody has input on who governs them. In America, we call that, you know, the right to choose our own governance. That's not common everywhere. That's not everywhere. When people first started insisting upon their freedoms, when they were suffering abuses, as it was written anyway, by one of the kings of England. And so what happened is, you know, the king, because he had an army, and that's what people need to understand. Well, why people do this or how this happened? It's because when you want something, you take it. That's what you do. You take it. And this is what people did. They took land. They took everything. It didn't have to be right. If I had enough men, I can go in a village, rape, kill, torture, do whatever I want to do, because I can get away with it. So what had happened was a lot of men who had established their own homes, land, and everything else were always at the mercy of the king. And they just pretty much said, we're not going to do it, else you have to kill us all before I give it to you. So they forced that king to sign a document that started this notion of rights. That's why you have it's an issue. It's government against the people usually when it comes to human rights, because the only people usurping these rights was the king. So that developed into a document, I believe the Magna Carta, which really has some of our basic concepts in here in America for our Constitution. And it's just those general things that I mentioned before, you know, the right to own your own properties and have your own families and things like that. Those basic human rights. And that has developed into other things. Like you said, we have a constitution that had to be amended and all those types of things. But This whole human right thing wasn't an issue just because you popped out of your mama. It wasn't like that. It was about someone who were initially imposing themselves upon people who could not defend themselves. He who has the most guns win. And if you do not understand that concept, you live in a fantasy world. Whenever you can't accomplish things by civil means, you go to war. We've had administrations that prefer diplomacy, which is great. We should be exercising diplomacy with one another as well on our levels. But even on the smaller level of two kids in the parking lot, if one don't like the other one and get into, they're gonna fight.
Yeah.
They're gonna fight.
Exactly.
So it's not too different than that. It's just that, remember, rights are protections. They come into play when you're being violated.
That's good. That's good. Let's go back to Raheem. Raheem, we lost you, brother. We had a little system glitch there, but we're back. Finish your thought.
Yeah. So I think I ain't gonna say only, but within my lifespan, I know the only president I seen not to actually go initiate war. I mean, I hate to say it was Trump, but going back to what I was saying.
Been forwarded to an automated voice messaging.
Oh man, y'all keep it. Every time I say that man's name, something happens to the phone.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so the only president that didn't go start a war. I mean, I just gotta call a spade, man. The only one that didn't start one was Trump. I mean, he had his ways with him, and really, I think if black people ain't wake up off of that, I mean, come on, you know. But giving up my rights, I just feel like, you know, if I went and voted for either one of them, you know, I really was. I really couldn't do it. But now the fact that I didn't, then we have, you know, brothers that say, hey, you gave up your rights. Even my mom and daddy, they a no vote is a vote for Trump. All right, well, I'm gonna just give it to Trump then. I'm not going and voting for Biden just because he is a Democrat, and every black person that can't think for themselves go Democrat. You know, I'm not doing that. And then after you know, he even got in office, I haven't seen nothing he done for black people, and in the light of what we're going through. And I'm young and black, and I'm out here in the mix, and I see the difference between how they handle black, younger black, and even older black compared to white. I see the difference. I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh, it ain't like that no more. Slavery over. Abraham Lincoln freed us, and no, man, come on. I'm not gonna sit here and act like that. It still goes down, and we can sit here and act like it don't, and live in that fantasy world. But nah, it still goes down, and ain't no laws changed for no black people. I done seen Asian rights laws. You got Asian hate crime laws and stuff put into play now. You got laws against gays. If you say something about gay, or you can't even, you know, you say something politically incorrect, you'll get banned for that, you know. But ain't nothing been put into play for black people. And black people's problem, from what I can see, they give up their rights. They go fight for everybody else's rights before they fight for their own.
Okay, good deal. Let me go.
A black person jump up for Asian or Mexican or a gay before they jump up for their own. And that's my take on it. I want to see what everybody else got to say about that.
Okay, good deal. I
didn't vote for the Republicans, and I didn't because I knew Biden wasn't gonna do nothing he promised.
Hold on for a second. Let me move this thing on. Let me go to Annette. Annette, what's on your heart, sis?
Well, you know what? I got a human rights attorney about to come on the line, right?
Uh-huh.
To really punch it home of what it means to have human rights. Let me tell you this, right? We have all the rights in the world. We do.
Mhm.
But let me tell you, we failed to read again. See, the one thing that our ancestors told us, they said, get your education. What did that mean? It meant read. It meant if you got a PhD, okay. If you got a master's degree, okay. If you got a bachelor's degree, okay. If you got a certificate, if you're the best entrepreneur, it said get your education in the field that God has chosen you to get. What do we understand about that? See, Black America thinks that they lack something, and somebody has to give them something. And then what Black America does to Black America is they want to say, remember, we were slaves. Everybody wasn't slaves, okay? Let's make that clear. Some people were indigenous already to the land. The land is already theirs, okay? We know in Georgia, particularly the Yazoo land swaps, okay, in which they stole land. It's the same today with foreclosure. So what do we know about that we are indigenous to the land and we have to go get it? You know what? I got a poem called Go Get What's Yours, right?
One more time. They did it again. You know,
Sounds like something else is interfering, to be honest. Anyway.
I refuse to be riled today, Rico.
Nah, you know, what I will give her credit for, you know, I knew she was gonna do that, man. But reading is essential. I mean, you know, if you don't understand how a process works, then you won't understand how it evolves and works later on down the road. So you will assume, okay, this behavior is over with. You won't understand that these same people that want to take those rights away are working to find another way, another angle to use it again. So you have to read to have a clear understanding of how this thing works. How with agendas against your rights that wants to actually take away your human rights, how they operate, how they function.
Well,
to me, refusing to read is almost refusing to participate or be concerned about, you know, those issues. So it
I wanted to say something on what Leonard was talking about earlier. You know, everyone that listens, unless they're new, they probably know that I'm an avid researcher. And a while back, there was a topic that was brought up about white culture. And I started digging into it as much as possible. I even reached out to my friends that live across seas. And they said once the Romans and, you know, all that big old group of people there started going up into England and Britain and Ireland and all that, once they started in going through that, they pretty much took their culture away. They made it so wrong and evil that it's so hard to find anyone that actually, you got to get lucky and find a family that has held on to the old culture. And then with the kings and everything else, you know, you know, to keep your land, you have to pay your taxes and so on and so on, you know, and it goes into the reading, you know, people, the things that happened to them over in England was carried over when they came to make America. And it's always baffled me that people don't understand that. They didn't just come here and just think it up all by themselves. They learned it from somewhere.
Right. And it's not to, people have to understand, like if Rico was to move to Texas, he'd still be Rico. So, I mean, people, I think, sometimes get caught up in their own perception of things and don't look at every side. And that's what I'm more interested in, is every side of a situation. So just like Rico said, I'm a person who truly believes if you're going to be a player, you need to know the rules of the game. That's what's important. You got to read that because everybody's playing the win. I'm not going to teach you how to beat me. What sense would that make? So a lot of times people have said there's a correlation between freedom and literacy. That's why ignorant people are usually falling for agendas like Trump agenda. See, that's an ignorant man's agenda because it's not based on anything but just pure greed and what you want, regardless of the rules or anything else. So what you have to understand is a bad person wherever they go. It's doing good that makes you good. So even with the Roman Empire, find a Roman. Roman don't even like to be called Romans no more, I don't believe. They call Italians. But before they insisted on being Romans, citizens of Rome. That was like in the hierarchy and social status. But this notion that somebody sits back and allows you to have this, no. Before, you protected whatever you had. If you're not going to die for it, you can't really claim it. The only way to really claim is to be willing to die for it.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
You know what? But guess what? No, it's easier than that, brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier than that. Okay, you ain't got to do all that. No, step into the promise. You don't have to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
All we have to do is find experts, okay, who would heed to whenever our human rights have been violated, and not only just violated, to step into your rightful place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, come on, it's easy. We make it hard. We make it complicated. It's easy.
And that
We've already been born with it.
And that now you know we flow a certain way. You just kind of jumped in there, sister. Hold on now. you gotta
Well, look, if you got a lull, come on, brother. But I'm ready for the human rights attorney.
Okay, hold on. Let me do this. I got you. I definitely appreciate you, sis, and I thank you for inviting her in because we definitely want to hear from her as well. But my thing is, I want to say this right here before we go any further, man. Somebody don't want us to talk about this today, y'all. Somebody don't want this conversation to move forward. Something is going on. I ain't no conspiracy theorists, and I ain't in all that foolishness. But something is going on, Rico. Help me understand.
Yeah, it could be a little unsatisfied people. You know, people feel a little, quite dissatisfied.
Yeah.
But I put it to you this way: if you happen to have a discussion about somebody having human rights, then that means there's some inhumane behavior going on.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So, when we start talking about, because I've been listening, like when Leonard says certain words, people have a perception with these words like king, ruler. Sometimes when people hear the word king or hear ruler, they don't think about ruling fairly. They think superior, being dominant. And so behavior, you have to ask yourself, why did that behavior exist? Why did it come into play for somebody to say, well, you know what, when I come into power, I'm going to use my authority to make things biased and uneven and unfair. Most people, they want to be looked upon as a good king. They want everybody across the board to be happy. Peasants.
Yeah.
They want to go down as history as being a great ruler. So, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that and a lot of morality that comes with being a ruler or being a king. So, when you start thinking about that perception, and like I said, just the fact that we even have to address the fact that people need to understand they have human rights or have to fight for their human rights, is that atmosphere and the energy that's floating around this earth, and it's been going on for centuries. It's been going on since King Leopold. Cutting off hands and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And the Congolese people, the stuff that he did, inhumane, barbaric behavior. People with power and rule. So, I mean, those that don't have power need to understand that this is the reason why you should research, why you should read, why you should participate, why you should be aware and be concerned about issues of human rights. Because they do affect you and those that come after you.
Exactly. Now I want to welcome this young lady here. This actually is she's been invited by Annette to come in and talk to us today. Young lady, what's your name and where you calling from?
I'm here in Georgia. I'm in Jonesboro, Georgia, physically,
Mm-hmm.
but we are all over the world. We're worldwide with the
Mm-hmm.
United Nations, and even though I'm here in Georgia, my jurisdiction is anywhere in the world.
Okay.
So my name is Professor Dr. Shalili S. Johannanan. It's not something that you hear before. So let me spell my last name. Youhhoing space Nannan.
Mm-hmm.
Johannanan.
Okay. Now, help me out, and no disrespect, I love you, sister, but do you have a nickname or something I could call you by? Because this, I may not remember that, and I don't want to disrespect.
Yes.
Or
For my years of community service within the state of Georgia, everybody calls me Lady Shelley.
okay, gotcha,
Lady Shelley.
See, I can remember that, Lady Shelley. Okay, Lady
Yes,
Shelley.
with the IE, Lady SHELLIE, Lady Shelley.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now we're talking about human rights, and we're talking about what are your human rights. What would you say human rights are, and have they been violated to a certain degree?
Well, the United Nations also, stated this in a lot of their publications about human rights. And human rights was granted is something that's given to everyone since the day we take the first breath on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something that you're going to go somewhere and apply. Can somebody give it to me? I need some. No, this is something that is your right, God-given rights.
Mm-hmm.
And where no one should have any authority. I don't care what capacity you're in, but no one should have the authority or assume the authority to take it away from you or to determine who have more than who.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be on an equal plane.
Yes.
The same rights that I have is the same rights that you have, is the same rights that Miss Annette Davis Jackson have, and it's the same rights that the other gentleman that was speaking everywhere. That's modern, not capacity, but something that was granted to you by God, and no one should have the right to dictate, who have more than who, because it's equal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and every day we see that violated here in the United States and around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And whether we're talking about police killing of an equal, when you look at the racial situations, that is just one type of race of person that's being targeted and being killed. And, there's not much that has been done, even by the authorities, to stop some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
We have illegal foreclosure. We have just a lot of ridiculous things that are happening to people, but the government entities, sometimes it's not that they don't even not step in and do something, but sometimes you can see them involved in it,
Mm-hmm.
involved in the violation.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Let me ask.
Yes, human rights is a right for everybody, and just want to summarize that no one should have more rights than the other.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you this. And I'm assuming here, you certainly correct me if I'm wrong. You've traveled many places throughout the world, and if that be the case, what is the major difference in human rights and how it's viewed throughout the world?
And just rephrase the question and having a bit of trying to understand what you want me to address.
Is it different? Is the way people view human rights here in America different from the way the rest of the world view it?
Oh, okay. Good. Your question no more clear.
Mm-hmm.
I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say yes. yes to that, because you see, one of the things that the United States of America, is supposed to be the leader, the world leader in human rights, and we're not stepping up to the plate of that. Certain things that we see happen here in the United States, I'm looking at it and say, wow, I didn't, know that this would have happened, and even there is no one has been held to account, for certain things. The other day I was seeing, I think it was Germany or one of those third world country that actually was making criticism about certain things that they saw that took place in the United States, and they thought that it would not have taken place had it been done. So, of course, the human rights is being viewed differently. But in the United States, we're told that the overseas country are the ones that normally violate human rights, and they made it seem like the United States, have everything together, nothing will go unaccounted for, and we don't see that to be the fact.
Wow.
So it is viewed differently, of course, yes.
Absolutely.
I think the United States government and those in authority should do more. They should step up to the plate and do more when it comes to violation of human rights, because the whole world is looking to the United States for leadership. They're looking for the United States to take the very first leading position when we're dealing with human rights and violation of human rights.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Hold on, sister. I'm definitely going to come back to you. I want to circle around a little bit. Bishop, what's on your heart right now? Bishop?
I'm listening to the conversation and I'm enjoying everything she's saying. And this is one of the things that I consider to be a pet peeve of mine. And in relation to anyone, never lose who you are because someone else views you in a different light. When God created us, He created us as men and women, and there are my rights that I'm entitled to. That's why I don't care too much about certain names that have been applied to blacks, because I'm a man first and foremost. I don't give a care about the color. If you're a man, I'm going to treat you with the level of respect that's supposed to be granted unto you, and vice versa. And my privileges are not going to be restricted or taken away from me because someone views me as in a different light. So this is a great topic. Thank God for DKM Media Group. Thank God for you and these wonderful topics that you come up with to bring enlightenment and or awareness to those who may be void of that same level of understanding. So I appreciate it, man.
Hey, to God be the glory, brother. To God be the glory. Rico, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
I love what she said. I mean, sitting over here as a citizen of the United States, I know people on the outside looking in, they're judging this dysfunction over here from a so-called leader, world leader. I know they expect a lot more. I do. They got to recognize the double standard and the hypocrisy that goes on in this country. And what's sad is that the people with the most power in this country that can make the decisions or make the changes to make us look more like we actually mean what we say.
Exactly.
And with the status quo. They will go ahead with the business as usual mantra. And so now we have this situation where we put this facade out there. We're the greatest country on the planet, greatest country in the history of the planet, richest, most powerful, most logical, most moral. Everybody be like us. Come to America. Wait a minute, don't come. We don't want you here. Is it like I put it to you this way. If America is the world leader and the one that the world looks to for an example, where exactly are we headed?
Wow. Good question. Excellent question. Toya with a T. Sister, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
Are you talking to me?
No, Latoya, you there?
Okay.
I can't hear her. Is she saying something? Okay, I can't hear. Leonard, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
Oh, I'm just listening. I think people will definitely have a better perspective on human rights after this show, because it's something that, you know, when you deal with activism and things like that. Shout out to Miss Zena Crenshaw Logal, who does a lot of that work for us with New Order, who is a lawyer as well, and takes issues to the UN and works with people who are trying to take an issue to the UN. That's her part of activism that she does as an attorney. But we definitely have to understand that she's exactly right. America is looked upon because the rest of the world is so heinous as well. And we have to remember that there are places where children are forced into labor. There are places where women have no rights at all. And all these, where at one point, you know, a woman couldn't marry who she wanted to marry. She had to marry who she was told to marry. So, like Rico said, whenever you got to talk about them, oh, it's a mess going on. That's why I say these are protections. It don't stop anything from happening, but it does provide you with a recourse if these things do happen, if you are being violated. Like I said, a lot of times dealing with civil rights, a lot of people will come in and say, my civil rights have been violated. I'll say, which one? Which one? Because there's a nice little list of them.
Yeah.
Those are your civil rights. You don't have any other ones. Because those are the rights that you have as a citizen of the United States, which may not be in another city or a state. I mean, another state has different rules and regulations as well. There are some countries where you can't have as many kids as you would like. You can't own property. You can't do lots of things. So America looks like the best place in the world because if you look at it, we can do whatever we usually want to do. You can be in poverty in America and then be rich. That's possible here. You can come and get an education, and you can get it for free. So we do seem to have a greater focus on people being able to do whatever they want to do. Now, the downside is you pretty much do whatever you want to do, good or bad. And I can see where it looks as if Raheem may be blocked again. Rico, can you hear me?
Yeah, he's muted though.
Yeah. Because I see, he's talking to somebody else. But hopefully Raheem will join in again in a second.
Yeah.
But I think that's the main issue that a lot of people don't understand. We have people right here in our country who have taken issues to the UN, as I mentioned before. For example, in order to be recognized as a nation, you have to go through the UN to be recognized as your own nation. And your nation has requirements to be recognized as a nation.
Hey, Leonard.
You have, go ahead, right, Rico?
Leonard, I want you to see if you can sort of break down the difference between the UN and the World Congress too. A lot of people don't know nothing about the World Congress, and then maybe Lady Shelley, when she comes back on, she can sort of break that down too. But can you explain the difference in what their functions are as far as the difference between the World Congress and the United Nations?
Well, what the United Nations is that as a direct result to try and reduce conflict among nations and to establish a global council that gives input. We all have to work together. A lot of people talking about, well, it's going to be a global world. Some people ain't on board with that. I think Obama started talking a lot about the notion of being a global citizen. So if I'm an American and I go to China, the same rules don't apply. I can go to China and China can decide never to let me come back.
You ain't gonna spit on the sidewalk in China.
Okay. Or they could hold me hostage. And that's what you see happening a lot of times where some other nation or some actor in another nation will hold someone hostage from America. Because they'll say, America's the big guy. That's who we look to. So surely if we take one of their people, That'll get their attention because they care so much about their people. This is why people look to the United States as this leader in human rights. It's because we are the most liberal in terms of giving people rights. You can be a refugee and come here. You can be fleeing anywhere and come here for safety. You know how you just were mentioning before. Our borders were so open and this, that, and the other. Come to America. But wait a minute now, when you get here, then you realize what's really going on in America. But from the outside looking in, we're this huge bastion of freedom and democracy. And even during the Vietnam War, they would point this out as they're part of their propaganda to African American soldiers. Why y'all fighting for them, but we know how they treat you over there? See, this isn't common to everybody. So like when we're looking in through the TV into communist China and the issues that happen in Tiananmen Square.
Tiananmen Square.
Tiananmen Square. If there wasn't no TV, we would have never seen that. They government, you don't have freedom of press and all those things. So what is happening now is we realize that it's just not the Chinese people.
Follow your dreams.
It's the Chinese government that is acting on the people and they don't have a lot of these rights that we have. So sometimes you can only see what they want you to see. Like in America. But now America is so open and we got these cameras. Look at the police. What the police don't want you to do. They don't want you to take a picture. They don't want you to film them doing nothing, so you won't raise no hell about it, and you just go along and let them do what they've been doing. That's why they don't want you to take these pictures.
Censorship.
Wow.
And we take a lot of things for granted, and that's why a person in America, a black person in America, complaining about what they can't do, Africans will look at you, excuse me? Do you know that people ride through our village, take our daughters, chop off the arms and heads of our brothers and sisters?
Right.
And you over here talking about what now? You ain't getting the education, but the school at the corner.
And they daughters getting kidnapped, and you over here about your rights to go get your nails done.
Right. No. So it's a different issue in different places, but the human rights is what America is known for, being a protector of these rights, so to speak. And that's why everybody trying to come here.
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. I don't know what's going on today, brother. I don't know what's going on. It's something. Badger, I don't know. Badger, help me understand what's going on today, brother.
It could be multiple different things.
We're not flagged, are we?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. People do get flagged occasionally, but you're the only one breaking up, and the whole thing hasn't crashed. So,
yeah,
what you do, Raheem?
I told the truth.
All that fancy French talking he was doing yesterday.
Right?
Exactly. Let's go back to it. As a matter of fact, let's go to Toya with a T. Toya, can we hear you this time? I want to make sure we hear your heart, sister. Toya, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Much better. I think you're trying to say something earlier. We can hear you. We had a little. Well, you know how the system is going. I ain't gonna explain it. You know what it was.
Oh, honey, listen, man. Hey, if it's gone now, baby. I don't know what to tell you now, honey. We just got to go ahead and keep it from Jump Street. Valid points everyone was just talking about. You know what I'm saying? About the differences across the world. It kind of goes back to this human race, the race part, like the different races. But no, we really just humans, just different colors, kind of like vegetables. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like trees. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why we got to be putting like different races, because we really just all the same. But wherever we feel comfortable, that's kind of what we use, you know what I'm saying? But with that being said, we still got to focus on the point of, as a human being, your dominion and your power and what you're using it for. And this should never be used to get forced control from other human beings. But this is what we do with our dominion. And then we want to say it's the this or it's the that. Well, no, I have dominion to stand up for. And this is why Martin Luther Kings and Rosa Parks and people who stood up, us, right? We keep going because it's the right thing to do. We ain't imperfect, right? But what we're not going to do is we're not going to collectively agree with y'all making everybody do what y'all want them to do, as individuals. And this is where the fight comes in at, because you got this collective group that wants to silence you when it's my human right to have a difference of opinion than you, to not be treated less than you, to not be beneath you, to not be used as a piece of property or treated like a dog. But when we stand up, that fear changes things. Rosa Parks changes. It's hundreds of people that get acknowledged and who don't. That just them standing up for the right thing to do has set a precedent. And this is why we're bickering, as human beings in Africa, because you know what, we're right, but our daughters get kidnapped over here too.
Yeah, exactly.
It may not be as bad as over there, but we got a lot of things going on over here too. But as humans, we must focus on doing the best we can to protect our brothers and our neighbors right where we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go, Rico.
Raheem, can I just say
Absolutely.
something real quick to what she just said?
Yes.
When she talks about the ill treatment and how, we should not be treated this way, the horrible way, and how the people are being treated. Now, what I want to add to that is just such an excellent point, because look at what they're doing. They're not only treating the people as less as human beings, but you have to pay to be treated that way. Because if it's not the people taxpayer money, that's what keeps them going. So how about taking the money from them and then turn around and treat them like it doesn't exist?
Wow.
See, so, we all pay taxes and forced to pay taxes as well. You don't pay, I'm taking your house and I'm going to sell it and there's nothing you can do about it. But when you do that and the people are funding you, what you think gives you the right to turn around and treat those people as if they're nobody, or as if they're dogs, or if they're, some sort of slave that doesn't have any rights. Well, you're using their money to drive around in cars and to do this and to do all of that. Had it not been the taxpayer, they could not function. So they must stop that.
Exactly.
Everybody must be treated equally and fairly as human beings.
Yes.
So that's just what I want to add. And she made such an excellent point as well. So I just want to add that to not only what she said, but what the other gentleman said before. Because monies are being taken from the people and to fund the organization that turns around and just kill one side of people, shoot them in the street, do what they're going to do to them. But then it's people taxpayer money that keeps them going. So that to show you the power that the people have in their hands.
Lady Sheila, let me ask you this question. And on the world stage, not just here in America, but on the world stage, how much is this human rights violation based solely upon economics? The haves and the have-not. Is it based on economics?
Yes, to an extent. To an extent, because they're talking about who have and who doesn't have. And poverty in itself is a huge problem. Because that's where the power comes from. That's where the power lies. The more money you have, the things you do. You can commit murder, get away with it, because you're rich, because, I'm a billionaire. But the poor person who does not violate the rights sometimes have been, sometimes mistakenly, or sometimes just racial biasness. We take you, we throw you in jail, and there is no evidence to prove that crime has been committed. But when you're dealing with the people that they're rich and powerful, so they can buy out the judges, they can buy out whomever investigation, and nothing comes of it. So this goes right back to say everybody should be equal. They have a saying in the United States that said, no man is above the law. And I disagree with that, because some are.
Yeah.
And that all depends on capacity
Mm-hmm.
and also how rich you are. So
Mm-hmm.
you can get away with all of that. So yes, it's based on an economy. Yes, it
Yeah,
does. In
absolutely.
my opinion, it does.
Absolutely.
All
Badger,
over the world,
all over the
not
world.
only the United States, all
Absolutely.
over the world.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Badger?
It, oh, you know me, words. Words are powerful, so it's always good to weigh them. Looking at, talking about economics, and the comments I make a lot of times is the bigger issue we have is, the people in power. Because it's interesting when a large group of people get together and how much they can truly actually make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But it also depends on how that group of people go about it. Like if you want, a company to change things, if you do it correctly, you can make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
We as humans can make a lot of things happen. Look at the kings that were overthrown because people just got tired of it. They found a common ground.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working hard to better our human rights in this country. Yet it's a fight every day. There's laws being passed in Texas right now that have me very concerned, and I'm slowly doing research to see what we can do as a people to make sure it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Badger? I always find it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about the UN and things like that, and you hear them fighting and whatnot. And I work pretty hard at trying to find where they've, done a lot of good change and things like that. And I've talked to some people. I told you the story about the guy I met at Lowe's who came over from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I said the main reason he came over here is because our American government came over there and messed everything up.
Yeah.
So because of the people I've met all over the world, sometimes what I hear from some people just don't sit right with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't always talk to people that, have positions of power. Sometimes I prefer talking to the people that live there and that live through it every single day.
Yeah, good deal. That's good. That's good. And Nat, are you back with us, sis?
I'm here.
Talk to me. What's on your heart?
Well, you know what? I love all the conversations, but here's the thing. We have to really study human rights. We have to study what our rights are.
Mm-hmm.
How many adults are really studying what their rights are?
Mm-hmm.
And, we don't even have valid social studies. In Georgia, a lot of students are failing social studies because we don't teach it. We selectively teach, right? The books want to focus on just the Civil War. No, no. So what we need to do is we need to be writers and put human rights into the textbooks, right? We need to be putting it all over the web that you were born, just like Shelley said, we were born with rights. And I know that we were born with unalienable rights. So it's a matter of reteaching. This is another education subject that every citizen in America and throughout the world needs to be taking a one-on-one course.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bishop, what's on your heart? Actually, I just want to Bishop. I'm looking at my list here. Rico, talk to me, brother.
Man, words have such power, like Badger said. And if you're not really up on reading and trying to understand what the words mean, man, you will just be out here going with the flow, and agreeing with other people's talking points, like Reconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
police reform is almost another form of reconstruction. But then some people go back and they start using the word defund. And that word defund, it actually, it sort of puts a sour taste in people's mouth when they hear it. Defund, because they don't understand that you're meaning reform or reappropriate the money. Almost like reconstruction. You're changing up the law so they'll be more fair and you can operate by them better. You see words, and then they get manipulated, and then they get perceived a different way by those that's in power and authority. Let's take, for instance, the word excellence. Somehow, to me, excellence turned into prestige, and then prestige turned into privilege. And so I'm trying to find out what happened. What happened? I mean, I put a post in the chat group about the Bible. I think in the Bible it says something about God was unhappy with people, so he separated them and made them speak different tongues and this and that, so they wouldn't be able to communicate with each other, right?
When they were trying to build that on the Tower to Babylon. Yeah.
Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah. Trying to build a tower.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm wondering, you know what I'm saying, in a biblical sense, is that where the confusion came in? The relationship for people to understand that we are all equal humans across the board. Is that where the confusion came in, where people began to stop realizing that we are all equal? Now, all of a sudden, we speak this language, and I think our language sounds better than y'all language. So maybe the way we live or the way we build our homes, and maybe we prepare our food, we think this is more humane and more moral, and y'all come off as more savage because y'all are meat eaters. Y'all come off like animals because you eat fruit and vegetables, and we eat meat. We done found a way to eat meat and use their fur to stay warm. So is that, I mean, could that possibly be one of the reasons why there is such a disconnect between people on earth? Because I never understood how a person can look at somebody from another country that speaks another language and still not feel like that's my brother.
Exactly. Well, listen, I'm looking at the clock, y'all. It's actually time for us to get out of here. We made it through, man. This is the system been acting up a little bit, but we made it through. Leonard, anything on your heart before we get out of here? Leonard?
If you did not get a chance to hear this show in its entirety, you can log on to www.dkmmediagroup.com at 3 o'clock Eastern today.
Good deal. Lady Shelley.
Yes.
Give us.
I will be talking to you some more.
Okay.
We're out of time, but also just want to know, the training that Annette was talking about training. We do that. It's a lot that we do, and I could come on in another time and explain, what we're doing for the community, and all what resources are available, the trainings. We're holding the judges to account.
I would love to have that. I would love that.
All over the place.
Absolutely, I would love that. Let's set it up. Let's set it up sooner than later. Yeah. Let's set that up sooner than later. Okay. I would love to have that happen. I definitely would. Okay. Give us some homework. What should we do?
I will get with Annette. Annette will do that, and then she'll let me know when would be the time, for us to do that.
Okay, great.
But we just wanted to, it's too much is going on, too much violation against the people. With the foreclosure, being thrown out of your home, we're investigating those in police brutality, whatever the injustice is, and we do trainings and everything. So it's a lot that we're bringing to the community. So we're not just the United Nations and that's it. We're fighting in the field. We're fighting injustice. We're doing so much, and everyone can join us. And there's a part that they can play. There's a part for everybody.
Absolutely.
So that we can come together and face this terrible beast that we're dealing with, and that's prejudice and inequality. Justice.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, sis. Definitely looking forward to it. Toya with a T.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna put you on task. I want you to pray us out today, sis.
Oh, sure, no problem. Well, Lord, you know what? We thank you for yet another glorious day, Lord. We want to thank you for everything you've given us so far. Thank you for the enlightenment. Thank you for the opening of the eyes and the discovery. Thank you for having the heart and the compassion to be able to want to understand these things, Lord, and fix these things. That's the only way we're going to really show the world that you are truly real and that your powers do work. And as humans, Lord, we want to actually continue to guide our hearts and our minds and keep us covered and give us everything we need to do to make your will be what we need on this earth. We thank you, we praise you, and with honor, we love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Been a great broadcast, man. We are going to definitely do a follow-up. We're going to do a follow-up, and we're going to go. We might even do a series on this topic right here. We might even do a series where, we come together maybe once a week or something like that, and we talk about human rights, because that's something that a lot of people don't want us to talk about. That's something a lot of people don't want us to know. But we really, each and every one of us have human rights. We have our rights. Are we practicing them and exercising them in the way that we should? Maybe not. But that does not mean we don't have them, because we do. You have rights, just like everybody else. I don't care if you're black, white, orange, polka dot, or lily stripes. You got rights. As a human being, you have rights. We're going to get you there. We're going to work together. We get you there. We'll get there together. We'll walk hand in hand, locked arms, arm in arm, and we'll walk together until we get to that place.
Yes, the United Nations will be right there with you.
Praise God. There you go. Good deal. See, can't say no more. We can't say no more. That's it. It is now 10:01. I want to thank everybody. Rico, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Before Annette get off the phone, I want to make sure that we still on deck for that little tennis match y'all got going on. Y'all don't went real solid about that. We ain't gonna let that ride. Somebody got to embarrass themselves now. We ain't forgot.
She said,
the tennis match, Annette, you still up for it? Y'all just shucking and jiving.
Oh, I think she hung up. She
ran. She might have ran when I said that about the tennis match. She was talking big. You ready, Raheem?
Man, I'm ready. Absolutely.
All right. What is the date? What's the date now?
I don't know what the date. I told her I was gonna leave it up to her, but I ain't got no fear, brother.
Oh man, yeah. I thought y'all set a date, man. I think y'all don't let it get past it.
No. I remember I told her, I said, set it up and I'll be there. Okay. And she said what park it was gonna be in, but she never set a date on she never put a time on it. So I'm sure she's gonna come through. She's gonna come through. She ain't scared either. She ain't scared. So I think it's gonna happen. I really do. But listen, it is 10:03. You're about to exit. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow to be a part of your morning. It is 10:03. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us, because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And we shine some of this light on you for the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. You'll have a great day. If you find somebody, give them some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Love you. And please take care of each other.